Hello friends, Tanya here, and I am going to be playing with a Gladiola 3D Susan's Garden die set. Here I have cut out the petals to create the flowers. I'm going to walk you through how to create just one of the flowers because it's very repetitious. You're going to need 3 flowers for each stem of Gladiolus. These dies make it so easy to create very realistic looking paper flowers. Now you saw me cup each of those with the loop tool. You're going to need a small and a large of the 3 petal dies. I am also taking each petal and creasing it in the center, then flipping it over and using the medium ball stylus to tip the edges of these petals back. All of these little steps seem like extra work that you don't need to do, but they really make all the difference in the world in the realistic look of your flowers. Now I'm going to switch to the small ball stylus tip in the Susan's Garden toolkit. This is a game changer when it comes to creating the flowers because it has all the right tools. You don't have to try to figure out what in your stash you can use to do all of the things. Sometimes the tools make all the difference in the world. So now I have layered the 2 pieces to make one flower, and these are the stamens. I am going to ink this up with some Kitsch Flamingo ink here, and that is because the Gladiolus centers, or the stamens, mimic the color of the flower. So to create these, after I've inked it, I am going to split the stamens so that they're a little fluffier, and I'm going to roll them, simply roll them to create the center for the flower. I'm also going to add some glue and dip it in this container of pollen. It's basically paper fiber. It's sold in many different colors, and I'll have it linked in the description box below for where you could find your own. I'm taking the stem and I used the loop tool to add some dimension to that also, and the medium ball stylus. Now to create the background, I wanted some texture and some embossing. So I'm going to take this circular stitch background die, and I am making a 5x7 card. The beauty of this die is you have the outline rectangular die, but you don't have to use it. You can just use this die to create a repeating pattern for whatever size you ultimately are going to need. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 inch panel that I die cut the background twice from, and then I trimmed it down to 4.5 by 6.5 inches to create a background panel for a 5x7 card. I'm adhering it directly down to a craft colored 5x7 card base, and any of the glue that's showing through the holes, even though it dries clear, I am using the tip of my pointy tool to remove that quickly. There is also a berry picking basket die in this die set with the Gladiolas. I have cut that from a piece of craft cardstock that I had spritzed with the Crooked Broomstick Distress Mica Spray Stain. That is a lot of words for a beautiful spray. And I die cut that. And then I curved it a little bit on the inside to create a little extra dimension. Now I am taking a stem of Gladiolus that I created in a red. I die cut all of these flowers in different colored cardstock and then just added a little inking or spritzing with some spray stains to add some depth and dimension. These just tuck right inside our basket, and I'm going to show you how to assemble one of these stems. Now I had assembled that one without it being on a card. It is easier to do it while it's attached to a card. So I add a little bit of glue to the base of the flower, and then I am going to adhere it to the card base. I'm just using my pointy tool and my tweezers to help make sure that the end of the flower is making firm contact with the cardstock so the glue can set up. I'm just staggering these flowers up the stem, and they do cover most of the stem. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time working on the stem because it's mostly hidden. So next I'm going to take a stem that doesn't have little buds on it. These are the bud die cuts. It cuts out three of the bud die cuts. So we're going to take our small loop tool again, and I'm going to create some dimension to the buds. Just going to flip it right side down and run the loop tool down the center. We're going to add a little glue at where it folds in half to make sure that it stays folded. And we have that extra fullness, which will work perfect. Now we'll take the stem and add the little buds underneath the where the buds attach. And with all of the dimension we've created, it gives it a fullness. So it looks like there is a full bud that's going to open into one of these glorious flowers after it opens. I'm going to tuck that in, and we'll attach the last 3 blossoms. Just trying to make sure that this is making good contact with the cardstock underneath it. And we'll take the 3rd color of blooms and add those in to create a nice full basket of flowers. Now when I get these Susan's Gardens different floral dies, I tend to just take them out and play with them and make a few flowers. I try to make them in coordinating colors, and then when I'm ready to create, I can just pull some of these flowers out and start adding them to my projects. I've found that by having some extras, especially of the greenery and a few of the smaller flowers, I use them a whole lot more. I just keep them in a bag specific to that type of flower, and then when I need a little extra something to spice up a card or a project, I can pull out these ready-made flowers and attach them to my project. I know that you used to be able to buy, and you probably still can, some paper flowers, but it's so much more rewarding when you create them yourself, and you can make them in the colors that you want and using the papers you want. I will tell you that I broke my large loop tool by using too heavy a paper. You're going to want to use 80-pound or slightly less, not a whole lot less than that, but don't use anything heavier than that because it isn't malleable enough to create these beautiful flowers. Now that we have that entire bouquet assembled, and you'd be shocked at how quickly that glue dries and becomes nice and solid, I am pulling a sentiment out from the Mini Sincere Sentiments Glimmer foil pack. I did consider using this sentiment from a different stamp set that came out in August, but decided to stick with this Glimmer foiled sentiment. There is a die that cuts this long banner out, and I had this pre-glimmered and just in the packet because I hadn't used it on a project that I had planned to use it on. Plans change all the time. I'm just going to adhere this to the front of the card, and that pretty much finishes this project. You could easily frame this too if you wanted, so I may do that for my mom. If you enjoyed this project, please give me a thumbs up, give me a comment telling me what you liked best about this project, and if you aren't subscribed, now is a great time to do that. I have a list in the description box below of all of the products I used, and here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Until next time, bye-bye.